Okay, welcome to the podcast, Gina Livy.
Hi. Hello.
That was a tongue twister for me at the beginning.
Yeah, well, you were like
No, because my last name is Levy. My maiden last name is Levy, but Toronto folks say Levy.
I get Levy or Levy
But
all the time.
I'm from Hamilton, OG Hamilton, what? And they say Levy. So it's just like,
and Toronto says Levy.
Toronto says Levy.
And it's actually Livy.
You're Gina Livy.
Yeah, like Livy Beans. But I'm dating myself whenever I say that. But yeah, I get Levy. Yeah, all the time.
That's a great last name.
Yeah.
So
We're
is
practically
Levy.
related, I think.
We are related.
Same tribe.
So you are creator of the Gina Livy method.
Yes.
I was like, the Gina Livy,
Yeah, the Livy method. That was actually, we did it when I was offering the program. I didn't have a name for it a few years ago. We did a call out to our members and someone was like, the Livy method. Tony's like, that's great. I'm like, no, what? It can't have my name in it. And they're like, it has to have your name in it. So that just kind of stuck. Yeah. So the Livy method.
The Livy method.
Yeah.
And it's been around for how many years?
I have been offering the program with personal clients probably for a good 25, or maybe 30 years, like same stuff over and over to help people individually. But the program, the first one I did was 2018.
Okay. And do you call it a weight loss program?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to call it a weight loss program or a diet. It's to help people lose weight. Yeah.
Okay.
And your background is in nutrition?
My background is I started as a fitness instructor when I was 14, became a personal trainer back
14?
then. Yeah.
What did you teach? This is my lifelong dream and I'm so scared and I can't do it.
So hardcore aerobics classes. I remember going to the YMCA, which was the place to go back in the day. And
I could imagine her hair.
yeah, I did the whole I did the whole thing, the thong up the butt and
course
the,
you did.
the running
Jane
shoes.
Fonda.
Farrah Fawcett of Toronto.
It was such a great time.
Was your hair curly or straight?
It was straight. I always wanted curly and the big bangs, but I rocked the side ponytail quite often.
Not the image.
So I remember being at the Y and I walked by this door and there was this woman with the thong and the whole leg, like the whole thing, teaching and screaming and yelling, and people were like, "Woo!" And I thought, "What is this?" And so then I signed up for some classes, and then I was like, "I want to do this. I want to teach this to people." And then I became a personal trainer. And then working in gyms, they offered nutrition, like in-house nutrition back then. And then I got into helping people lose weight. And so that's how I got into it. But I didn't actually have a weight issue until I got into university. And that's where, high stress, lack of sleep, I was teaching hardcore aerobics classes. The more I was, a starving student. So the more classes I taught, the more money I made. And so I taught a lot of classes, hardly eating anything, and my weight just kept going up and up and up. And then it was sort of when I went to my doctor and was like, what the heck is going on with me? There must be a problem. There's something going on.
Wait, sorry, you said you weren't eating a lot.
I wasn't eating a lot.
And you weren't eating bad stuff per se, or you were just eating, but you were working out every day.
Yeah, so I was
as like a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, right? Like, and you just felt like, why is my weight not like what's going on?
Exactly, because what I was teaching to other people to lose weight, you eat less, you exercise more. It's simple, count calories. So I remember I would get up and do the morning shift, stop at the coffee shop because the gym was in a mall, pick up like a muffin or like a scone, I don't know what you call it, and a coffee, a flavored coffee, mind you, and then go teach a couple classes and then get home. Maybe like 3 to 5, maybe have a salad because, I was trying to lose weight, and, maybe be up late and maybe once a week, twice a week, go for pizza with friends in the middle of the night, but hardly eating anything. Every now and then I'd open Mr. Noodles and throw some veggies in there or something, but I figure I was probably doing 600 to maybe 800 calories max. And so you
were probably burning thousands.
Yeah.
Burning thousands.
And you were, because this is interesting to me because I think so many women don't know why they're not losing the weight and they just think it's calories in and out, and that's not the case. It is to some degree, but I think you're the expert.
You can lose weight by starving and depriving, counting calories, eating less, exercising more, forcing your body to burn fat. Sure, you'll lose weight that way. But I find as you get older, how much less can you eat and how much more can you exercise, and you can't lose any weight, and you seem to be actually gaining weight.
Yeah. Well, and it's not sustainable as you get older. Like I feel like all these fad diets that I did when I was younger, and I tried everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily have a big weight problem, but I feel like I just wanted to be so skinny in my 20s. And it was like in a very unhealthy way where it was.
You're interesting too, because looking at that album that your mom made for you, which is incredible. You were a skinny kid. You were a very skinny kid.
Yeah.
So then,
But then in my 20s, I think what happened was
and then
I got to college very skinny and I ate everything in sight. And the freshman 15 turned into
your body changed.
freshman 40.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was on everything from like the cabbage soup diet to that lemon cayenne pepper diet to eating like it was at the time of the 0 fat, 0 sugar,
I met you
spray
at the
butter.
stage. You and
It
Benji were
was
doing like colonic
cranberry
soup.
juice diet. It was a weird.
I was like, you seem fun. Great. You and my brother seem perfect for each other.
Dieting was cool then.
Dieting
it's
was cool.
So not
No,
cool
I know, but
now,
just
but
like-
it was like it was cool then. It was part of regular conversation. It was almost cool to try the diet of the week, right?
Totally.
You drink lemon water for like a week. Something crazy.
Yeah. And that was it.
You're like,
you
"Benji
were,
did it too."
so then getting back to your routine. So you had put on weight, and how did you kind of figure out what you were doing next? Like, was that where your kind of program started?
Yeah. So I said at the end of my last year at university, I went to my doctor and I said, okay, like something's going on. And this is before thyroid issues and metabolism
Hormones,
and stuff,
this and
hormones
that. Yeah,
and any
yeah.
of that. And he said, well, you're probably eating too much. And I'm like, what? I'm barely eating. No, it's not that. Well, you need to exercise more. And I'm like, no, it can't be that. He's like, well, you're just big boned. I can't see anything wrong with you. You're big boned. And I'm like in a year, your bones grow that much? And so I kind of took that away. And it wasn't until I moved to the city and I was working at a gym and I was working at a bar and I met my now ex-husband. And he was a chef at the time. And when you date, you go out and you eat all the time. And I started eating more often and all of a sudden I started losing weight. And I was like,
Backwards.
It's so backwards. And I was like, what is going on? And people would say, oh, you're losing weight. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm eating. Like, oh, what are you eating? And it was like restaurant food. It wasn't like,
even like the
diet
health,
food.
right? You're
Wasn't trying
eating
to lose-
stuff that was cooked probably in lots of oil and butters because it's restaurant food to taste good.
And so within I think within 8 months, I'd lost something like 80 pounds or so. It came off real quick.
Were
you
still
work-
working? Yeah,
I was just saying, were you working out as well?
Yeah, still, I was teaching classes every day. And I think, I was teaching like 18 classes a week. It was a lot because I made some good money at this club I was working at. Body Alive, downtown Toronto. You guys know it?
Body Alive is famous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Those instructors were, there's a real legacy around those instructors.
There was even one in Hamilton.
yeah. So it was, I was teaching a lot of classes. And
So your body needed the food.
yes, I probably wasn't giving my body enough. And then I went down a rabbit hole of like, I don't know why and what motivated me, but why is this happening? This was before, like your microbiome and how stress affected you and how your body, insulin. People didn't talk about insulin and lifestyle and any of those things back then. And so I remember going to the library and trying to find like journals or something to be like, why is this? Because people kept asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I want to do what you're doing. And I'm like, I'm eating.
You're like, get a chef for a husband.
Yeah. And so I just kind of slowly and combined with, the diets that because every diet came and go and, bits of diets and, figuring out what was working for me and then going down the rabbit hole of why, like one time I ate all organic for like months. It cost me so much money. Yeah. It's so expensive and I don't do that anymore. And then I looked into just how your body breaks down food. Like 30 years ago, no one talked about how when you eat something, what happens and how your body breaks it down. People weren't talking about digestive issues, food sensitivities, none of those things. So through kind of, picking out the bits and pieces of different diets, like why did the Atkins and high fat diet, like didn't make sense. It wasn't healthy, and I was a big fan of Oprah. So, she'd be the diet of the week every week. And so I remember saying to myself, why doesn't the smartest people or the best of the diet people all get in a room and figure out what works and what doesn't work? And so that's what I started to do. I picked out pieces that worked really well and, got rid of stuff that didn't make sense and kind of sort of came up with my own program and process. And then I'd lost the rest of my weight, within another few months. And then I started getting excited because I was like, I have something. And I tried to sell it to people as lifestyle. I got this amazing, and they're like, no, I want to lose weight. I'm like, but you will. Like weight loss is a side effect of your body, like functioning properly and you being healthy, and nobody wanted to buy into that. So I started just being like weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. And then over the years, I don't even know how many clients I've worked with, and just what I've learned from people along the way, which is just so much more than what you're eating and when. It's your mindset and your issues and associations and habits and all that. And so then I just kind of packaged it into what would work for everybody. And that was fluke, because I'd always worked with private clients, some sports teams and corporations and stuff. But in 2018, because I worked in television, I had some friends who worked in media, and they came to me and they said, "We see what you're doing. We want to talk to you about it." And so I went down to, it was Zoomer Media at the time. And, they said, "We want to make you the Tony Robbins of the diet industry." And I'm like, that's who I want to be. And they said, "We're going to put your program out all over the world. We're going to sell it. We're going to make lots of money." And I came home and I was with Tony then. And I remember thinking, if I was
not Tony Robbins. Yeah. Your now husband.
My now husband, Tony. Yeah. And I remember saying to him, like, if in my 20s, I would have jumped at this and been like, yeah, I'll next week, I'll give you everything you need. But something in me was like, no. And I said to him, I know I have a good thing. I know it works really well. And I just can't stomach putting it out there to people, knowing it's their opportunity to lose their weight finally and forever, like move on. And you know what I mean? In the healthiest of ways. And if they got frustrated because they couldn't ask questions, I knew people would have questions. And then that night I went to sleep and I woke up and I was like, I'm going to do a Facebook group. I'm going to do a Facebook group and then I'm going to test it out. And so I put a thing out there, who wants to do my Facebook weight loss program thingy, and had 484 people sign up. I started it the Monday and didn't have a clue what I was doing. And just kind of
how did you get the awareness out? Like I feel like for anyone starting a business, it's like even to get 500 people to sign up to a program, like, was that just...
I didn't think I would have that many. I think that I had...
Your street cred was high.
My street cred.
From Body Alive.
And I knew sort of like it's always been about, and even now, helping more people. Like if we can help more people, that's our jam. Even on the program we sell for $75, we could probably sell it for thousands. And I've been told, can't tell you how many times people like, you need to sell it for more. And I'm just like, no, it's not. It's really truly about helping people. And I don't know, because I went through my own journey and I know what it's like, but I want people to only have to do the program once or as many times as they need to reach their goal.
Yeah.
And then move on with their life. I've been maintaining my weight for 30 years.
Can we get into the program? I know it's like a paid thing, but how much are you willing to kind of share here? Because like I know bits and pieces through Lauren and Laura and all this kind of stuff, but I have a whole list for you. I've always fluctuated. I will say that I've always been in shape, active, 15 pounds up or down, but I think there's something very mental about eating. I'll eat because I am just trying to not do something else. I am a snacker. I like oral fixations. Like I like to be busy. I talk with my hands. I like to be doing things. So I'm really good. I know this sounds fucked up, but I'm good at not eating. Like I can go all day and be like, fine, I'll have my coffee, but then it's not healthy. To your point, then I'm doing what you did. I'll have a salad. Maybe I'll have a snack late at night. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have a sandwich the next day. Maybe some eggs. Like it's very inconsistent, but it's not a lot. And it's, mostly healthy, I would say.
Yeah, that's very
80%
typical.
healthy.
That is very typical of, the average person carrying 20 to 40 pounds. Very, very typical. Go all day without eating. When you do eat, it's fairly healthy foods. What factors in there is high stress, maybe sleep issues and stuff going on. But people always say this, well, I can go all day long and not be hungry. That's not good. That's not good. That means that your body is not talking to you. No, because your body should tell you when to eat, when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. And if you're going all day long and your body's not telling you that you're hungry, it's completely given up on even communicating with you. So you have a lot of things going on, as do, I think, most people. It's so funny. I was talking to a psychologist just yesterday, and we were talking about this. And I always say, like, food issues can go back to when you were young. Your parents telling you to eat all the food on your plate. So when you're young, you don't listen to when you're full. You eat past when you're full because your parents say eat. You're going to sit there until you eat all your food. Or something as simple as broccoli. Eat your broccoli, it's healthy for you. Well, broccoli, cruciferous vegetables are hard for adults to digest. Gives them gassy, can give them tummy pains, they're hard to digest. And so you're a young kid and your parents are saying, eat your broccoli, it's good for you. And yet it's upsetting your tummy. And like, well, my mommy says it's good for me. So, but I was telling the psychologist,
my mommy's an
idiot. Or like, I'm hungry. Well, dinner's in 3 hours. You can, like, I'm an old school kid, right? You can wait, you're going to wait. Dinner's 3 hours, you'll wait. And then she's like, well, it goes back further than that. It goes back to when your parents are feeding you as a baby, where you're trying to, before, historically you let kids play with the food, have food. Now we have, baby food that comes in jars. We're trying to feed them their whole bottle so they sleep at night. Like we're even teaching babies that we're overfeeding them and, finishing their plates. So it happens real early. And then you get into dieting. Starve yourself, deprive yourself. Then you get into losing the weight, then getting it all back plus more, and then doubling down on all of that. Then you get into how we associate with foods when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're stressed. And so the thing about dieting is you can't stop utilizing food in those ways, but you have to learn to reconnect with them. Like there's nothing wrong with using food to celebrate, right? Like, oh, we're going out for a nice dinner tonight. We're celebrating your birthday or celebrating this. But you have to understand your body's actual wants over your needs. And that's a very complicated process. Like intuitive eating, right? It's such bullshit. It's so bullshit. Like,
it's a lot. And I think especially as moms, we try to model good behaviors. Like I've got a son, but with my 3 girls, I really want to make sure that they see me eating well, but also eating all the things, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this. You take your kids to go for ice cream.
Yeah.
You don't want the ice cream. Do you eat it or not eat it for the sake of seeming normal?
If I don't want it, I don't eat it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in trying to be normal because of their past history with diets end up doing weird shit to kind of seem normal. Like it's normal to not want to eat the thing if you're not hungry.
Yeah.
It's normal if someone brings donuts home to not have one because you don't want one, right? It's normal to take your kids out for ice cream and not have ice cream if you're not actually hungry. And that's the kind of thing you should say to your kids. Well, this is fun. You guys enjoy the ice cream, but I'm actually not hungry for it. I don't want it. We need to normalize that.
Right.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. What, a lot?
Well,
it is a lot. And I think
that's
and that's the biggest thing with Gina's program. So I did
Can
it.
you give me like a Coles note, like top level, Lanny, just like do this?
Well, the program really is a Coles Notes.
Okay.
It's 12 weeks, but it's laid out. It's step by step for you. So what you're eating and when is laid out. Although a lot of flexibility in it.
Like you're having a nut at 9 a.m. and then you're having fruit at 11, and then you're drinking 2 liters of water in between that.
Well, you want to drink enough water to be hydrated. It's really important. People aren't drinking enough water. So science now says 2.7 to 3.5 liters. That's
What's
just
in
for
that
basic
blue
body
bad
function.
boy?
So I drink 4 of these a day. To be honest, that is not the problem. The problem is finding a bathroom that is accessible literally every 30 minutes because you're going to have to pee all the time. The good thing about Gina's program, which I love because I've tried different programs and my goal is maybe different. I know everyone has different goals when they join your program. But I really just wanted more accountability, more like mindfulness around, because I was going, like my problem was similar to Lanny's where I was going until 2 or 3 without eating. And I'm like, great, I'm fasting. And I'm like, well, now I'm not eating. And now it's dinner time and I'm eating between the hours of 6 and 11 and I'm super bloated and I'm getting acne and I'm uncomfortable and this isn't working for me. So I loved the accountability of I'm eating 3 meals a day. I'm having a few snacks. I'm drinking my water. You can drink alcohol on your program, which most programs you can't.
Yeah. Most people do bits and pieces. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And they don't really add up to anything. And I'm trying to think, this morning we had a conversation with Ruth Kane and she's, the University of Ottawa is doing a study on the program. She's heading up the team to study the Livy method and sustainability of it. And she talks about 5, like and we're going to this obesity conference in Whistler next week and we're presenting the Livy method. And she talked about how the people out there, the who's who studying obesity, say there's 5 main components of a successful diet. And one of them is accountability. And the other is structure. And the other is sense of community. And I can't for the life of me remember. Oh, mental, the mental part of it. There's different elements that go into successfully losing a weight, not just physically, but mentally. So you have to know what you're doing, which is the program breaks it down for you. But knowing what you're doing isn't dealing with things like prioritizing yourself every day. As a mom, you can feel really guilty about, as anyone can feel really guilty about the time that they're taking on them, to focus on themselves. That's hard, just to show up and do something for yourself every day. Your issues and your associations to food, right? How you cope, habits, things that trigger you, like you're stressed, and so then you need to eat some gummy bears because that's, need to, you know what I mean?
She walks in. I'm like, literally, I was like a walking hypocrite. I'm like, she's coming in. I'm going to have half of my oats this morning. You're like, that's great, Lanny. I was like showing off. I had a sweet tooth still and I wanted some gummy bears, and I don't know. I guess that's not in the plan, but
I don't think it's about, so why don't you talk about some of back to what Lanny said. So some of the components of the program for people who aren't familiar with it. Obviously hydration is a big one. Yeah. Frequency of your meals.
Yeah. So the program, it's getting in tune with your body's needs. It's about, so each week of the program has a different focus, and what you're eating and when changes and evolves as you go. So in the beginning, for example, you're eating like 5, 6, even if you need more food, 8 times a day. And that really freaks people out. I'm eating so often, I'm eating so much food, I'm going to, gain weight. Well, breakfast is the protein is the focus at breakfast, just because it's good to start your day higher in protein. Fruit snack in the morning. So many people terrified to eat fruit on its own. My goodness, I'm going to gain weight. Fruit is a great snack because it replenishes your glycogen stores quickly, right? So you don't dip into your fat reserves. Lunch, focus on vegetables, carbohydrates, your proteins, leafy greens, healthy fats. Afternoon snack, vegetables, which are hard to digest. So that really stimulates your digestive system, helps with natural digestive enzymes. Afternoon snack, nuts and seeds, because at that 3 or 4 o'clock time in the afternoon, your body's wired to take a dip in energy.
They're all my favorite snacks.
Yeah.
This is good for me so far. Love this.
Yes, yeah, right. And then people go looking for caffeine and sugar as a pick-me-up at that time, when if you just stimulate your digestive system, and then the protein and fat from the nuts and seeds feed into your satiety hormones, you're more satisfied heading into dinner. Dinner is, which really technically should be your smaller meal of the day. You've eaten throughout the day is your protein, vegetables, leafy greens, and then adding in any heavier extra carbohydrates if and when you need them. So, one day you might be extra hungry at lunch, so you add in some rice or some quinoa or some potatoes or whatever. So it's very structured.
Or you have the hamburger for dinner because you want the bread.
Or that sort of, yeah.
No, Lanny. Do not listen to Lanny.
Let me just say that you want to lose weight in a way.
To listen to your cravings.
You want to lose weight in the way that you can have a burger and fries and not gain 10 pounds, where you can have the pasta and not gain weight. And that's the problem. People lose weight too quickly through starving. And if you force your body to burn your fat, you will lose weight that way. But then you're just simultaneously reinforcing the fact that your body needs it, which is why every single time you'll lose weight and you'll gain it all back, plus more every single time, right? So that's the first week of the program. And then we get into, portion sizes, which are, we do through downsizing and asking yourself 4 questions about, before you even eat your meal, how's this portion for you? Like before you even eat this, how are you going to feel? You know if it's too much, you know if it's not enough. Then while you're eating,
you do.
That was actually,
a lot of people don't.
Full-blown don't.
That took time. And that was one of the biggest things for me, because I would just eat the full portion because I'm like, well, it's here.
Yes.
And then the big thing is you eat half, you stop, and you wait 15 minutes. And if you realize oh, I'm actually still hungry.
Oh, wait, when you stop eating, you get up, you take a pee, you walk around. What are you doing?
If it's
I don't have time for a 30-minute lunch.
Well, it's not. It's
just knowing that I need a smaller portion.
So your body when you're in a buffet line, you're putting food on your plate, and it's just gets to a point where it's way too much.
Yeah, that happens to me.
So you will also equally know when you've had enough and when you're satisfied.
How to go there.
How do you know when you're satisfied when you eat? Let me ask you that.
I'm not satisfied right now.
But when you do eat,
when you do,
what makes you stop? How do you know when you're done?
Because I'm.
You finish everything on the plate?
No. You wait till your belly is full?
It's a total social thing for me. There you go. If I was when we were at the gala last night, I actually loved my fish for dinner. I was talking, I forgot to eat, and I didn't finish my meal.
So let's say, sorry, what's your producer's name over here?
Ryan.
Ryan. So you and Ryan, you go to the same restaurant, you order the same meal. Let's say it's delicious, right? You're 2 totally different sizes, and then you both sit there. How do you just eat the same as him? You just eat the whole meal? How do you know when you've finished that meal?
If I was paying attention, I would eat I would eat until I felt like I didn't want the burger anymore.
Okay.
If I felt like if those last few bites were gonna make me gag, I wouldn't eat it.
You know, I love that you just said that. I'm having an aha moment because that's an interesting way to frame that.
I don't think I've always done that, but as an adult, like with foods that are like that, or like a whole bowl of if you're gonna have a pizza, consciously, I'm not, just because I'm a conscious eater, I'm not gonna have the whole pizza. Even if I was ravenous, I would still have 2 slices and some salad, just because I'm trying to be sensible.
Yeah. And when you stop eating because you don't want any more, are you walking away feeling satisfied, or are you feeling like you overate? Do you walk away feeling like you overate most times, or do you feel like you feel good when you walk away?
I'm an extremist, so I waver.
Okay.
Like I will go to my closet at night and like I will down a whole bag of something.
Yeah. Which is a whole other thing.
Like not like a bag of chips, because
Sonia just gave a holla.
It will be like it's healthy.
A lot of people who identify with that.
Granola.
Yeah.
Not if you eat the whole bag, Lanny.
So there's a couple things. Maybe you went all day without eating. So legit, you're super hungry.
Legit.
Maybe you are high stress. If you crave like a bag of chips, it's because you need more good fat in your diet. That's why cravings are just your body communicating needs. So maybe you're having a stressful week and you actually need that like fat that's in that chips. Maybe it's that you just don't want to think and you just want to take your mind off, you know? So it's just like, that's your connection, your you time, whatever. So it's about figuring out why. Like you have to be in tune to yourself to know what makes you happy, to be in tune to your intuition, to know, you know, how am I going to feel if I do this? How am I going to feel if I do that?
Everything is mindfulness.
But I think it's actually so much better now, because I think back to when, and it could just be age too, but I think back to when I was in my 20s and I would literally eat like a whole pack of like no fat Snackwell cookies, thinking that it was like, well, they're all 0 fat, 0 calories, and this is fine. And that's probably how I gained 40 pounds in university. But now it's like, you can be, even my kids, what I'm able to teach them, I didn't know when I was their age.
No, it's very cool. It's just interesting. All I'm trying to get is like, I feel like you go through like your whole life up to your 30s, like not consciously living in some way. You're just,
that's the way you're supposed to live.
Like you're just being, I don't even know if your brain's supposed to develop, but you know, it's like you go from a kid to an adolescent, you're dealing with so much, then into this like young adulthood where truthfully, I have not thought so much in my goddamn life.
Well, you're also going through a lot right now.
But this is like a life change. What you say, this is a life change for these people that have been struggling their whole life. You have to think about every day, everything that you're doing to make these changes, and they have to be purposeful for you.
And what you shouldn't do, this isn't something you can count and weigh, you measure yourself into. People are looking for things outside of themselves to figure that out. I remember when I was in my early 20s and I was young, and you just did stuff that made you happy. You knew if you wanted to do it or you didn't want to do it, and you're just selfish and you just did the things and your life just flowed and everything was great and you're on a track.
You didn't think much about it. It was just on to the next.
Because then you start compromising and doing things that other people say, or getting caught up in what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And all of a sudden you're not listening to what you want anymore, and you're doing things because of this, because of that. Kids, you got to compromise. Like marriage, constant compromise. You're never happy, never doing what you want to do because you're constantly compromising everything. So you're never really truly doing it. That's when your life gets fucked up. When you stop listening to your intuition, stop listening to yourself, you stop making choices that make you happy. So we have to figure out how to do that again. You're in that bullshit area where you got to cut through all the crap and figure out how to do that. So you have to spend time being in tune with what your needs, not just what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, but what works for you in life.
So much more.
And everyone talks about I woke up today thinking everyone talks about mind-body connection, but does anyone really know what that means?
Yeah, it's like a buzzword. It's like an app.
Well, it's intuitive eating, like what you said, which it's like every influencer on social media is like intuitive eating, but like what for so many people, to your point, that is so hard to achieve. So like, what do you recommend because there is such a big mental component to this program? Yeah. How do people get on board with that?
So with my program, it's interesting. It's so multi-layered. It's so awesome, my program. I think it's just so cool because it's not just eating. It's the emotions that are brought up. Like week 3, for example, we have people following the basic food plan. It gets boring. I'm like, yeah, be bored. You shouldn't be getting your excitement through food. Not that you can't enjoy food, but be bored, right? And then we start actually messing with portions by just eating a little bit less than what people were eating to satisfaction just the week earlier. And it fucks people up. People start dealing with food waste issues, their past dieting issues. They start freaking out.
Because there's that shift then.
There's this shift. And then there's a part in the program we actually take people, we have them eating more often, and they get mad. They're like, I'm going to eat more and I'm going to gain weight.
You're fucking with people. You're
fucking with people. Yes, absolutely.
So you're literally, I actually don't think I'm strong enough to do this. You're like,
Gina will hold your hand through the whole thing.
I am, because you have to bring up the feels in order to deal with them and recognize this. Oh, I'm doing that. Why am I doing that?
That feels wrong. That feels right. I'm overeating. I'm undereating. You're training the mind to understand what's a good balance for you.
Yes.
That's fucking cool.
It is so cool.
I
It's
could
like
use that adjustment in my life. I really could. I have obsessive compulsive eating habits that are triggered by everything else, but who doesn't have that?
Yeah.
The scale.
I was just going to say, can we talk about the scale? Because that is
yesterday. And I look great. I'm working out a lot these days. Like I'm feeling as much as like I put myself into working out when I go through shit. So like, I feel like I've been so happy there and I'm at a good weight like spot. I got on the scale. I was like, and this isn't about anything, but I thought legit I would be 20 pounds skinnier.
Yeah. And then you got on it.
Like how
the number messed with you.
I was 140.
Yeah. So how'd you feel when you got on the scale?
I felt horrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, I look good, but I feel horrible looking at the number. And I don't know why, but that like, it was a little bit less. It was 138, but I was just like,
In your mind, you were supposed to.
I wanted that scale to say 115, bitch.
Isn't it fascinating? Because it's just a piece of metal and no one else knows the number until now. But
here we go.
Now everyone knows. Well, and two, if you're working out and you're putting on muscle, that's obviously going to weigh more than fat.
Yeah. Do you remember seeing those? Every now and then you see 5 women, different body types, but they all weigh the same, you know, and that shows you that everyone's a little different. I think that you shouldn't get on a scale or even need to own a scale unless you're actively trying to lose weight every single day. Like with my program, I'm like, use it as a tool in conjunction with, what you're doing, how you're feeling. And because when people, right before they lose weight on the program, it's normal for the weight to go up before it drops because your body's retaining water in order to release fat and whatnot. And fluctuations are normal and your weight is always going to fluctuate. So it's important to understand that. So you're getting people used to seeing numbers on the scale and what weight loss really looks like. So use it as the tool or don't use it at all. Whatever you do, don't weigh once a week.
Okay.
And don't weigh every now and then.
And weigh at the same time in the morning,
every day.
Not like at night after you've eaten a bag of
unless she tells me I need a weigh, I'm not going to weigh.
Yeah, I mean, I think with my program, I say to people, like, if you don't want to use the scale, I would rather no one uses the scale. They go by how they feel, go by how their clothes
one pair
fit.
of jeans.
Yeah.
Well, one pair of jeans,
your
go
clothes.
by that. So use it every single day. Understand that your weight will go up and down and back up and you will have plateaus and fluctuations are normal, whether you're losing weight or maintaining your weight. So just recognize that. Sometimes it's good to get on the scale if you do have issues with it because those are issues that you can work through. But otherwise, like I didn't own a scale for probably 20 years till I started dating Tony, my now husband, and he had a scale in his bathroom and I got on it every now and then. Then he brought it with us and every now and then I get on it, but every day or not at all.
Yeah. It sounds like you probably would benefit from not weighing yourself.
And only when you're trying to actively lose.
Right.
Otherwise, who cares?
Yeah. The number kind of did fuck with me. I wasn't about that. And I've never been about that. I never really was.
So let's get into that. Why did it fuck with you?
I kind of, maybe it was my intuition at some point, like when I felt better or worse, I didn't like that was dictating how I felt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was always very curvy. Like I always had big boobs. I kind of always, I did fluctuate, but I kind of held my weight in different places. Kind of went to those spots, which was good.
Yeah.
So I always had kind of like a feminine body. So I didn't feel like that number was always like, I didn't feel what I thought the number reflected. That's all.
Yeah, but it's not that's all. That's a lot because you got on a piece of metal and it just affected how you felt. Why would it affect how you felt? You felt amazing before
society.
No, but I understand with the number. I think that number is a big thing, which why a lot of people don't own scales because I think it fucks with them.
Well, I'm just
I think that's true for any woman.
Put your number in an app, or what's your ideal goal, or blah blah blah, or your range, or your standard. Like I'm just going off those types of things. Yeah. You know,
I always lie. I'm like, 5 pounds less.
Of course they do.
I'm like, how's anyone? I'm like, I'm 5'8" and I'm blank pounds.
It's interesting because, you may weigh 138 and to someone else would love to be at that number. To them, that would be like amazing, but to you have a number. Maybe that's what you weighed when you were younger. And, who knows what it is. It's very fascinating, though, the way a scale can just ruin someone's day when you're the only person who knows the number and no one else gives a fuck.
Okay, or at when we used to go into our OB office. We talked about this before, and then you have to like scream out your weight while you're pregnant to everyone. That's kind of scarring too.
They should just not tell. First of all, I don't even know why they do that. I guess to see that you're
old school.
So when
now
I
they
was
tell that you're gaining, I guess, the right amount of weight, but that was also a whole thing. What you thought you had to gain when you're pregnant versus what you actually had to gain, like that was. I was like, I need these blueberry scones.
Well, and we
morning.
worked like when Annie and Ren first started, we were maternity focused. So we dealt with customers who would come in and be like so upset. I mean, listen, a lot of women embraced how they looked and loved it. But honestly, I feel like half the time we were therapists dealing with women whose bodies were changing, who no clothes fit, and they were devastated. And they were like, when am I going to get back to my pre-pregnancy? How do I do this? When do I fit in my jeans? We had a couple husbands come in that were like, when is she getting back? Do you remember that?
I would say like, his name on this goddamn podcast right now if I could. That little rat.
real.
I see him walking down outside of my Starbucks and I just look at him like, oh, you know who I'm talking about. Your wife's watching this.
You're dead to Lanny. Anyways, it was...
Well, I gained 80 pounds with my first. And I remember like going across the street because there was a store getting like a liter of chocolate milk and then like just downing that. By the time I crossed the street again, I'd had like 4 of those a day and like onion rings. Because I was like, I'm pregnant.
God, how did you not shit your pants?
I'm eating
That's like intense.
Like I was also
when you're pregnant.
diapers.
I gained a lot of weight. But that was the thing you were told. Like if you were a woman who didn't gain a lot of weight while you were pregnant, you would have heard that. That's for sure.
Right.
And now they're saying like what, like 20, 25 pounds.
That's
like,
it. And they're like, that's just an apple a day. That's an extra apple. You're like, what the fuck?
Yes. And
I
now
was like her. I was extreme. I went all in with those pregnancies. I was like, I never get ice cream. Let's have 4 containers.
I think I did 80, 60, 50, and then 40 by the time I had my last. But the pressure of being like only gaining 20, 25 pounds, I don't know if I could handle that because I think especially as you've had multiples, like me, as the more like you seem to gain it faster in just like more, like it seems like a lot quicker without doing anything with each kid. And the pressure of like only gaining 20, 25 pounds I wouldn't even be able to handle that. And I'm a weight loss expert and know what to do. Like that would stress me out.
Maybe let's talk about, because I do feel like back to the psychological part, and I think I deal with this still sometimes, is like the guilt around eating sometimes foods that are bad, or like this notion of like cheat days when people are like, oh, it's the weekend, eat what you want, or this and that. Like, I think that is also where a lot of people struggle, is this balance and how to mentally, like, if you want a fucking piece of pizza, eat the piece of pizza, move on. Don't dread it the next day. Don't be like, I'm doing 3 workout classes and I'm starving myself. Like I literally think, and that I'm way better at that, but that was like my biggest issue, was like Saturday would hit. I'm like, we are going all out. And then Monday would hit and I'd be like, well, I'm shutting my mouth today. And I feel very guilty. And so how do we get over that?
Well, first of all, I call them choose days. You're going to choose. It's not a cheat. You're not cheating on anyone. You're just making a choice. You're going to the goal is to make as many choices as possible when it comes to losing weight that are going to fall in line with your goals. And it's not about being perfect, and people's need to have a perfect day or it doesn't count. Or, if you eat one meal, that means you've screwed up everything. So let me just eat my face off the rest of the day. And then you wake up the next day. And if it's on a weekend, you're like, well, I've screwed the weekend anyway. So now I might just keep it going. And then you keep it going on Sunday. And then Monday comes, so you don't eat all day. And then you punish yourself the rest of the week. That all or nothing mentality really messes with people. I try not to talk about good foods or bad foods or on plan or off plan. It's just like, this is what's going to help you reach your goal. And hopefully you make more choices rather than less that kind of get you there. I think it's like, I always say, like, people, when they're trying to lose weight, get to a destination like Disneyland. So you're in the car, you're on the road. It's going to take you, I don't know, however long, days, weeks, whatever, to get to Disneyland. You're driving, and life's going to hit. Like, you're going to have detours and roadblocks, and you might get a flat tire. You don't go back home and start again. You may decide to go sightseeing. So you're going on vacation, and you go sightseeing, you get back on the road. You don't go back home again and start again. You just keep moving forward. You decide to visit relatives along the way. You eat dinner, you have food, you get back on the road, you keep moving forward. But people have this need to start again. And if they're perfect, it doesn't count, and it just really snowballs.
It's like if you had a bagel for breakfast because you wanted that bagel, then the whole day is ruined. Like then you have the ice cream and you have the pizza, and it's like today is already a wash off versus like, no, I just wanted a bagel in that moment and have the salad for lunch. It's like, it's about being balanced is what I'm hearing. And I think that's really hard for a lot of women to strike that balance with food.
They have to learn to be in balance with food. And that's why so my program is like a course, or it's like things you have to learn and work through in order to get to this place where you're calm, like physically, mentally around food. You eat when you're hungry. You know what I mean? You drink when you're thirsty.
You're not saying this is easy. Like it's work. It's work if you want to be it's not easy to do this, but it obviously pays off if you want to, I guess, understand yourself and take care of yourself in the way that you can live this. Like my whole thing is I never want to have a list of things I cannot eat. That to me is full blown bullshit. For people that have to, other than for allergy reasons, I never want to say I'm not having ice cream, I'm not having pizza, and I'm not having popcorn, because those are 3 of my favorite things. Like I will not go to a movie and not have popcorn. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. I just don't. I don't care if I feel bigger that day because I added 2 pounds. I like that popcorn, and that's an enjoyable experience for me. So like there are things that you have to push back on. But I know if I do that 5 times a week, I'm going to gain a lot more weight versus I treat myself to that once a month. So it's like about, for me, finding a balance of how much I can do what that works with my lifestyle.
I like balance. What I can't stand when people talk about food is moderation and control. That's just, you're not trying to control anything. You're not trying to moderate anything. Yes, you're right. It's about finding balance, but somehow people have to figure out what that is. Like what I teach people is how to get healthy 101, how to be in tune to your body's needs 101, how to listen to yourself, how to love yourself 101, right? So sometimes people are confused and don't know how to do that. But if you have a great sense of self and you know what works for you and what doesn't, especially when it comes to what you're eating and when, like eating popcorn every night, it's not going to cause you to gain weight. It will if you go long periods of time without eating and you're not eating enough and you're high stress and your body's feeling you need to store fat, right? Like it's all about resetting that.
Right. But I do think a lot of people have the all or nothing mentality. Like there's certain foods where people I'm like, look at all the diets. I'm cutting out dairy. I'm cutting out people that don't eat sugar. People are now fasting for hours every day. You know what I mean? People are doing these very limiting things, extreme things that to me don't feel balanced. So once again, it would work for this period of time or whatever. I've done them and they're working for now. But like you said, people turn 30, their metabolism changes, there's hormones involved. Your life goes through, you're having children. Like there's so many factors, right? Like, I don't know, for me, like that, it's easy to fall into these extreme categories if you don't have this balance.
Yeah. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm eating all the time. I show people what I love eating. I love traveling. I eat chips at night. So I'm not also trying to lose my weight. I've had people like message me and be angry. Like, you ate McDonald's and it triggered me. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to lose weight. And I'm showing people you can eat McDonald's and not gain weight.
Right.
Like, I want to show people that there's life after weight loss. You can live a life where you enjoy all the yummy bites and bits that come with it and not be stressed about what am I eating? What am I not eating? Like I ate that. Okay. Like if I have pizza tonight, if I'm weighing myself, going to get up tomorrow and my scale's going to be up because I have a big dough ball in my guts and I ate a whole bunch of salty food. I didn't gain real weight. So if I just drink some water today, eat some, add some leafy greens. So, it helps me.
Help with the digestion. Yeah. It's understanding that though.
Yes.
People don't understand that. So people are just like, oh, that just put on 2 pounds and now I feel bad.
Yes.
So why not? I'll just do that again. Like it's actually like, you know what I mean? Like you gain the weight, you don't look good. And then it's so hard when you don't look good to get motivated to look good when you don't look good.
Especially when you've been told the fix for that is to starve yourself, deprive yourself, and not eat.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting the fix that you like. When you start to lose the weight, it's motivational. For a lot of people, you see the change. So you want you to keep going. When you start, it's hard. It's a cycle, right? You gain the weight, then you end up eating more because you don't feel motivated.
But that's why the intuition really helps, because it's like you see what foods make you feel good and you see what foods maybe make you a bit more bloated. And it's not to say don't eat them. It's just to understand how different foods make you feel.
Yes, awareness. People need to be aware of what they're doing and what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And a lot of people just aren't.
Yeah.
It's not even accountability. It's awareness.
What's your favorite food?
Lobster and onion rings, hands down. And together, ideally.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not
Big
about
fat
like
onion rings.
Okay, but so like if I want it, a lot of people, because they say like don't have fats with sugar, right? I'm not supposed to have an apple with good fat. I'm not supposed to have an apple and peanut butter. It's one of my favorite snacks. Why again?
Well, you can.
No, it's a rule. It's like always a thing. It's like you're
Fat
supposed
and sugar?
No, like peanut butter. It's a high fat with an apple that has a lot of. Isn't that like a?
No, that's actually ideal. So on my program, in the first couple weeks of the program,
Very confusing.
on the first couple of weeks of my program, I have people eating fruit on its own. One, because they're terrified of fruit. And they need to realize there's nothing wrong with fruit on its own. And two, a lot of people are used to starving themselves. So we want to make sure they're not dipping into their energy reserves. And it's great for getting, like, you should increase your fruit in the summertime because it's easy to digest. It's a great way of keeping your blood sugar levels up. There's nothing wrong with food. Ideally though, so if you ate an apple, right, you're going to get a certain amount of energy from it. And then if you add protein and fat like nut butter to that apple, you're going to getting more sustaining energy because protein and fat feeds into your satiety hormone. So it's going to make you feel satisfied longer. So you could eat half an apple and add maybe like some nuts and seeds to that and actually have that last you longer. So it's not about eating more food that's going to last you longer. It's what food is.
What's that cute word you just said? That's satiety.
Satiety hormones. Yeah. Like there's certain protein and fat make you feel more satisfied. It's a different kind of energy that you get energy from a fruit and you also get energy from protein and fat as well. It's a different kind of energy.
How do you feel about energy drinks? Celsius specifically. It's my favorite drink and we can't get it here in Canada.
I think that it
It's
depends.
like zero sugar. It's like,
What's in it?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably the biggest
Like
thing. Like, what are
phenylalanine or something. Remember that?
Like
people are adding
propylene
like
glycol?
if there's a lot of those long words, those are bad.
probably maybe just have a fresh squeezed juice.
Why do you like it?
Because it's so refreshing and it gives me energy and I don't need it from coffee and the flavors are great.
Okay. I mean, well, the energy that you get from coffee is like fake energy. You know, that first of all, it's not real energy. It's giving you that kind of boost. And it's
So when
not
people are like, I haven't had my caffeine yet this morning, that's bullshit.
well, in a sense, yeah, their bodies get used to caffeine. So it relies on the caffeine to give them a pick me up. That's a whole other thing. But I think it depends on why you're drinking the energy drink.
Don't look at me. I'm not dropping
I'm
my
not
coffee.
into artificial flavors and
da.
colors and sweeteners, which a lot of those drinks have. I think that those drinks are a big business. So a lot of times you buy something thinking it's going to be good for you when really you're just, but if you like it, then drink it. You don't need them to lose weight. And I think that people should get their energy from food.
Not from a beverage.
Not from what about smoothies, protein bars? What about things like that?
I'm into, well, those are convenience, right? And I'm into just basic whole foods, like chew the food, have your body break down the food. I think smoothies are hard when people are trying to lose weight because it's liquid nutrients. And it's hard to satiety. It's hard to feel more satisfied.
Satiety are not satisfied.
No, it's like it hits you real fast. It's hard to get a handle on actually feeling satisfied.
Right.
And then people tend to add too much fruit, make them too big.
and you drink them very fast because they're in a straw.
Well, that's what Gina's saying, right? So you don't have time to realize when you're full.
It's not registering.
Yeah.
Later on in my program, I suggest that people can add them in once they understand what feeling satisfied means to them. But like a lot of people, if they're overweight, they're eating to satisfy the size body that they're at. So if they need to lose 20, 40, 60, 100 pounds, what they're going to eat 100 pounds less and how much they're going to eat is going to be a lot different. So they're used to feeding their body to the size that they are. So that smoothie that you're drinking fits that size body's needs.
Right.
And you know what I mean? You go
Yeah.
lose weight and chances are you're going to need less to feel satisfied on. So also bars, I'm not a fan. Like just eat good nutrient rich foods that break down, that's high in fiber, that give your body what it needs. I think there's a time and a place for them. I just think while you're trying to lose weight is
If you have access to
What's
fruits,
the
vegetables.
worst food for you? You could say like, that's just don't eat that, Lanny.
I would say artificial sweetener. Artificial sweetener.
Diet Coke.
Well,
Shit.
Monk fruit and stevia have come a long way in terms of sweeteners, but that was one of the rabbit holes I went down because that was like the no fat, low fat, sugars.
What about Stevia?
Yeah, stevia comes from a plant. It's one of the better ones. So stevia and monk fruit are the two best
Better
of the
ones.
best.
Okay.
If you're gonna have them, people still doing like the sucralose, like the Splenda, and just like it can't.
Yeah.
Not only does it just taste weird, I don't understand the taste.
So bad. I feel like it's like the equivalent of tanning beds. It's like we know better, people. Lanny was in
I crushed tanning
Lanny
beds
was
back
in a
in the
tanning
day.
bed last weekend drinking Zevia.
Diet Coke would have been more on brand.
Diet
actually.
Coke. All right. Well,
You crushed the
listen,
80s for sure.
We're all
Crushed the
work in progress.
I used to tan bed like go every day.
Same.
Yeah, I'd take off my thong and my aerobic gear and
I'd
go
leave
in
it
there.
on.
you
to
used to put the sticker on. I remember they had the little stickers. Yeah, and you just like
It was the Playboy bunny sticker, wasn't it? That was pretty sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you for sure had that Miss Aerobics instructor
with the
that
side
dental
ponytail and the
floss
thong.
up your butt.
I had so many thongs in so many different colors.
I feel like you got to send us an old picture. I gotta see that.
We're gonna have you back, and we're gonna dress in costume.
First of all, I love dressing in costume. Second of all, I do have to say,
you guys should actually just do that together. I hate it. I don't even know why I suggested.
I think we're kindred spirits. I also want to say to you guys, I love you guys because your whole thing about informing people. I'm sharing is caring, and sometimes I have this PTSD for when I was young, and my mom would take me shopping for school. And if you got to school and you owned the same thing as someone else, it was bad. Like it was just so stressful. Or you're copying me or whatever. Like I love if we wear all the same thing. Like I love matching. I'll go out with my mom or Sonia will match. I love it.
And we're all wearing
I think
today.
it's fun. But I just love that you guys find cool things and you share that with people. I just think it's just totally my jam. So I just wanted to say that.
This was great.
No, I'm not going.
This was a really good
I got another 4 hours.
Gina's here forever. Gina, don't leave.
With Dr. Pier.
I haven't finished my fruit snack yet.
She's got to finish her fruit snack. This was amazing.
This feels like I've got some more adjustments to make.
But I think it was this was a conversation we've wanted to have literally since we launched the podcast, was about food and nutrition and eating. And I think we got a lot out of it.
Sounds like you're just kind of a therapist too. Like your job, you're like, yeah, some people need it for eating. I feel like people probably just come for like the healthy mindset and the attitude. And you're like with anything, you're saying the reason you're eating is because of X, Y, or Z. So it's all part of understanding that.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that our conversation today wasn't black and white. It's not clear cut. People might be like, well, I'm overwhelmed and now I'm confused. Yeah, because it's a lot that it takes to make life-changing change, and especially when it comes to lose weight in a healthy way or make any change in your life.
Not easy.
It's not easy, but it's doable. And if you do the work, and it helps if you know what you need to do. But if you feel like it's confusing and overwhelming, good, because it is. I think women especially think that they should know what to do. I should know this.
Right. But you're not taught that. And it's just then it's like, oh, look like this and be a mom and have a job and eat.
You're shown like a basic pyramid of food. And you're just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this as a kid? It's like, you don't really know. And you're never really taught properly how to kind of be aware.
No, even that food pyramid, they used to have you eating 12 servings of grains, like no fat, no protein. Even that's radically changed over the years. So what we knew then is not what we know now. And everyone's different. They say that one diet doesn't fit all. My diet fits all because it teaches everyone how to make it individual to their needs. But you have to figure out what works for you.
A la carte, baby. It's what it's all about.
Yeah. So if people want to, I know you're in the middle of a program now, but how do people get in touch? When's your next program? Let's plug this. How are people getting in touch with you?
So our next program is going to be in the fall, which is going to be so fun because it's going to be our 20th group.
Oh, so, anniversary.
That sounds like something I could get behind.
Yeah.
Especially after the summer of Lanny. Yeah.
Summer of, no, you just switch that. It's Lauren's summer. It isn't not my summer.
And Insider Scoop, we're going to give it away for our original pricing of $60. So
it is $60 to do the full program.
Yeah, normally it's $75.
Wait,
but
my
original price was $60.
Talk off like that's too low.
Well, that's what Gina was saying, but that's why it's great because it is.
Hello, let's go. There's like a team behind you. Where's your business department telling you?
Tony's cringing right now.
Yeah, where's your business department telling you? Gina, stick to the food, not to the books, honey. Let's go. So $100 easy.
So
12 weeks. What?
Yeah. So it was originally $60 because I was like a single mom.
Dollars.
I was a single mom for a while, and you get into 75, which it is now. That's closer to 100.
Yeah.
60 is closer to 50.
You are providing life-changing skills for these women.
Right. You got a hype woman here.
I am sorry. The pricing will be changed by the September programming. I am now going to be sitting on her board and helping her
Tony's
make better.
literally emailing everyone on Gina's team right now being like, SOS, Lanny is causing
You will
problems.
thank me in 5 years in those big vision charts when you're making double.
Well, that's why I have Tony, because he runs the business. So it was $60 originally. We bumped it up to 75, and now we have apps and we have resources and people. And we have like 50 people.
Can I just big up your app for a second?
Yes, you can.
It is so well done.
To make an expensive app to make a good app
is expensive.
It is so well done. It's so easy to use. It's so smart. Like I was actually blown away by your app.
Because we've gotten into this before when you get those apps, when we tried to count your macro stacks.
crazy.
I'm like, what the fuck
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Like I was trying to like find my Starbucks drinks for 20 minutes. I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Yes,
Gina's the app is so easy to use. And everything is connected.
How much that cost you?
We're in over $1 million.
Tony's sweating. Tony is sweating.
We're in over $1 million at this point.
She just said 2. Well, I just saw her 2 fingers up for that.
All right. Well,
it's going to cost us millions by the time I think
insane,
it's done.
Honestly,
yeah, and we give it to people for free, and we let them use it after they're done the program. It's just like.
Incredible. You're very, very giving. You're very giving, and people are lucky to get that and hear it and learn from it. And I mean,
you know what that allows me to do?
Subscribe and follow.
That allows me to, for people who complain or people or whatever, I'm just like,
there's no excuse.
What more do you want from me? Do you know what I mean? Like, here's an amazing program, super affordable. It works. We have the best community. We have the best support. So if you're in, you're in. And it's like, it's amazing and such a great thing to be part of. And if you want to complain and you're an asshole, then fuck you.
And so like that price to me tells me that you literally actually want to help people. You're just not like, I'm fucking selling a No, like literally what you just said. You're like, I want anybody and everybody to be able to afford this program.
I used to take on clients and like literally not collect money. Like Tony will tell you I'm the worst. I don't know what it is. I think because when I was in high school, I had friends who my parents didn't have a lot of money, but we were fine and we were, well off compared to some, but I'd have friends whose parents were loaded and they were miserable. I remember their family dynamic was awful. And so I have this connection with money, and now I'm learning to embrace it because I have my own kids and they're expensive, but I've never been driven by money for some reason. I'm still not. I do want to run a super successful $1 billion company, but it's not about making the money. And I don't want to disrupt, and I don't want to change the diet industry. I want to make it better, and I want to win a Nobel Prize. That's what I'm going for.
I don't see why the fuck you can, honestly.
I want to be happy now, right this second. Those are my life goals.
All perspective.
I was there too, though. I was there too, and I went through some real shit to where I am happy now. It was a lot of work. So now that that would have been on my wish list too, but now that I actually am happy.
So nice to hear that full circle moment for you, babe. That's amazing. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I feel like all great things come out of desires, need, motivations. Everyone has the ups and downs. If they don't, they're lying to you. So to take something and turn it into this, that's awesome.
It's really impressive. It's incredible. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was amazing. And I'm excited for our listeners to hear this because I think it's an important conversation.
I'm not sure what we talked about, but I agree.
I don't either. I don't know. There's some weird things I got out of it, but I think there were some really good nuggets in there.
I loved it. I'm going to be back. Have me back.
We will for sure. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Bye.